Welcome to the JV Pod. We're a couple of buddies who have knowledged. That was the dumbest start ever. But a couple of buddies who don't know enough about what they're talking about. Talk like they're analysts. So, welcome in. This is what is this? A Wednesday, the 2nd of April. Coming off a weekend of hoops. College hoops specifically, Elite Eight, Sweet 16. We're through there, so a lot of good basketball, a lot of blowouts also, or not necessarily huge blowouts in a lot of cases, but still I had a good time with it. We'll start there with basketball. Dave, did you have any thoughts on the weekend of hoops?
I mean, yeah, like we kind of mentioned before, how coming into this weekend, we're gonna have a lot better matchups with less upsets in the earlier rounds, and I felt like that was really the case. We had some really good games. Arizona Duke on Thursday, Arkansas Texas Tech was obviously a really good game as well. We watched Alabama put up 113 on BYU. That was pretty nuts, and it's kind of what you were saying. You also called that as well. You said they can really blow out anybody if they're clicking. So,
Yeah,
really good games I thought overall.
yeah, kind of same boat. I mean, there was definitely some blowouts there as well, which was unfortunate, but some games were certainly fell in the madness category there. You touched on Alabama BYU. I watched that game pretty attentively, and kind of fascinating there. Like you mentioned, we talked about how Alabama, when they're clicking, can beat anybody, but when they're not, they can lose to anybody. And of course, it's easy to say they weren't clicking when they lost, but they were also facing Duke, who looks like a Titan. So
Right. And
uh,
Duke, I mean, it kind of got overshadowed because Bama scored 113 that day, but Duke scored 100 that day too. Like it's not like there was
yeah, it was
something
like
wrong with
Alabama
score
did
out.
it almost in a more spectacular
Yeah,
fashion. Where if BYU had been hitting some threes, maybe Bama was on pace to maybe do a little bit more. Hit 120, maybe 130 if they're really clicking because they hit. That's an exaggeration, probably a little bit. 130 is a stretch, but I guess it's only 17 more points though. So, and they turned it off in the last little bit. But they hit 100 with almost 7 minutes left on the clock. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, I remember seeing that. It was got there quick. That boy, number
Sears,
one was
yeah,
golly.
yeah, he's yeah. One little note as somebody who was rooting for BYU was uh, there was did you watch that game?
I did. And a bit of a preface for all this is my recall is shaky. Didn't even get to watch most of the Saturday Sunday games.
Oh
So
yeah, I
throwing that
guess
out
we
there.
should shout out.
Well, we don't need to, but
Our boy Dave is a new father, so excuse him for his his. A lot has happened since the
yeah,
Sweet 16 for him.
I'll still
So
pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Just know that I don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But certainly, I think BYU didn't do themselves any favors by going under the screens early in the game. Um, Looks like I don't know. For me, they went under the screens every time, and that kind of let Alabama find their rhythm, specifically Sears, and hard finding their way back in the game. Around right after halftime, BYU hit a three nail, and it was their first three since early in the game. Uh, and it felt like a momentum swing, but then the refs called a silly tech. I don't know that anybody can defend that tech. And it just killed the momentum immediately, and Alabama went back to it, and BYU lost their rhythm there. So it
Yeah, how
certainly
much do you
felt
blame?
like that
Sorry, go ahead.
stopped the potential comeback. But
Yeah.
it's easy to say that, but it's different to actually do it. So
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the full game, but I remember also that flagrant two. Um, was that pretty consistent throughout the game? Did it seem biased, or was it just a couple bad calls? And maybe the flagrant two
um,
wasn't necessarily a bad call, but it seemed kind of
I think it was a
wishy washy.
fine
Yeah,
call. To me, the real issue, like I tried. Obviously, when you're rooting for a specific team, refs can piss you off pretty easily.
for
Uh,
sure.
I try to not do that as much as I can. I don't think this game was too bad. Really, the stuff that bothers me is the timely calls. You can have tic-tac calls all night, and it's annoying. But the ones that are really disappointing are some that kind of take the air out of a team that needs the momentum at that point.
And I just realized how stupid I am, too, because that wasn't even that game.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about, I think it was the Wisconsin one where he pointed up at
where he elbowed him in the balls. And
yeah, that was the Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb, too. But, yeah, anyways, it was good. A lot of fun that game was. A couple of the other games that were fun. Florida and that Tech game, first off, I had the Elite Eight perfectly right in my bracket, and I had Tech winning that game. So I was pulling hard for Tech, who I don't typically care about at all. And they really choked that away. It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
The missed free throws, a couple missed shots at the end, and they were gonna get a back court, or what's it called? The 10-second violation. Didn't advance it quick enough, and they just bailed them out with a dumb foul. So really disappointing. Really gave up that game, but at the same time, Walter Clayton Jr. the shots he was hitting.
Yeah,
dude, I don't even.
He's cold.
I can't even begin to understand the feeling that would go through my veins if I did that. Yeah. I wouldn't sleep for a week if I could do that in a game. Even if I could do that in a pickup game, I wouldn't sleep for a week. And doing that on that stage, dude.
And that's once. Doing it once would do that to you. And he's doing that like every game.
When I'm in a pickup game and I have a slightly above mediocre pass, it's on my mind for a week. I can't get it out of there. If I were to do something like that, dude, I can't even fathom it.
Was it Friday where they had the two games within the final 10 seconds at the same time? Was that was that the Ole Miss and
it was Duke, Arizona, was it?
Was it Duke, Arizona, Arkansas Tech? Was that no?
Or was it
I can't remember.
Was it the same time as the Houston-Purdue game? I think that might have been the Houston.
It was two close ones. Two ones that were worth watching. I know that much.
I think it was Houston-Purdue, Duke, Arizona. I think were those two. But
either way, that ball, that was.
And can we talk about
touched on that before, but it's just you've got a full day to fit 4 games in, and you start at noon.
What are you doing it on the weekend for?
Yeah.
If you got all day. You start games at 11 a.m. I guess I don't know the data of when viewers are highest, but it seems a little silly to me. But we talk about the Houston play
now. But what's that?
We talk about that Houston play on Purdue.
Oh yeah.
The one to win the game on Purdue. The inbound play. It was they had a guy coming off the screen. The guy guarding the inbounder went to go guard that guy. Then he passed it to the screen that was screening for the guy cutting. I know none of this is making sense, but bear with me. And then inbounder, because his defender had left to guard the guy who got screened, he just popped in on the block and plopped it in there. And amazing. Kelvin Sampson. Nothing will describe me more than or make me earn the title of this podcast more than talking like I know what's going on with a coach, because I don't know anything about that. But he is the man, dude. He is the man. Everything he says, I respect it and I love it. One thing he said after that was, he says a lot of coaches try and get really tricky. He says in those late moments, he only does stuff they've practiced. You don't get tricky with it. Just do something you're familiar with and execute. Yeah. And I love that. It's easy to say it's true after they are successful, but that was just such a beautiful play.
Yeah. We both just immediately kind of wow. That was impressive. Saturday, Sunday, the Elite Eight games. Again, I didn't really get to watch. I know you said Florida. I did watch the Florida game, and we kind of touched on that already. But
what do you have Final Four wise? These two games. Do you have one game you're more excited for over the other?
Let me pull them up. Let's see. I would say I kind of wish the matchups were different. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so I'd probably say Houston Duke. Just as far as like a can Duke pull it out?
What do you
to
want
get
the
to
matchups
finals?
to be?
I mean, I'd probably say Duke, Florida, Houston, Auburn.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
would actually want it the opposite for some reason.
Really?
I feel like Houston, Florida would be really fun to watch, and Auburn, Duke, who have kind of been number 1 and 2 for a good chunk of the season. I would love to see that, but honestly, I'm more curious probably about Houston, Duke. Duke just seems skill wise that they're on another caliber, but at the same time, Houston just executes like insanely. Um, Duke just has these big names, high prospects, and they're just untouchable for that reason. And Houston doesn't have as much big names, but they know what they're doing. They work together. They have their roles, and they do it well. Not to say that Duke doesn't, but Houston does it with less skill. And so I'm curious to see
Yeah.
if the skill will win out there or not. But regardless, I think all four of these teams, it will be heartbreaking for them to lose. I don't.
They all deserve to be there for sure. They
Oh,
all
for
played,
sure.
like,
Ken
really
Palm
great.
ratings, which is one of these things that I pretend to know what it all means, but I don't. Uh, Ken Palm has them. I heard somebody say all four of these teams on Ken Palm score higher than 21 of the last 22 national champions, which is
Wow.
just
That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
And like they're all four top 10 all time Ken Palm. Which
Yeah.
Ken Palm I think started late '80s or early '90s or something like that. So
Still,
you
yeah.
know, but still
But,
like
yeah.
elite.
And as much as like it makes you feel good about someone sneaking in there and winning, even it's you want the best team to win. That's how it should be in my mind.
Yeah,
And if we've got the four best teams going for that number one spot, that seems right to me.
yeah, absolutely. I saw a couple of people tweeting this, and I agree with it. You want the exciting upsets early. Maybe they get to the Sweet 16, but when it comes to Elite Eight, Final Four, it's really a doozy to have bad games there. So you really want
Yeah.
these high tiered teams. Like I remember last year when NC State made it, it was an awesome run. It was really fun,
Mhm.
but like deep down, I knew that NC State didn't have a real shot in the Final
Well,
Four.
let's say they win it. Like let's say they go to the finals and they win it. Or are we going to go like end of the season and say NC State is the best team in college basketball? Like what does that mean if they win it? Like at that, they just got lucky. Like everybody's going to say they got lucky. So what is it?
Yeah,
Like it's cool
I
that
don't
they
care.
win, but I don't know.
I don't really care about like what people say because
Well, yeah.
part of it is like that's what a national championship takes. You have to execute for
Yeah.
whatever 4 or 5 rounds, or else you're not a champion. Like you can be the best team all year, but you can finish number 1 in the regular season. But if you can't execute, you can't execute, and that's just the unfortunate thing for the good teams. But also, that's how you get to be a champion. So it's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm
It'll be
certainly
good.
excited for it. And I saw somebody also tweeting like, college basketball is the only sport that we root for the worst. We're mad when the best teams are in the championship, and
Yeah.
that does kind of ring true. You don't want a sloppy game. That's it's still fun if it's close, if it's a sloppy game, but you really want to see these like 2 high-power teams duke it out, in my opinion.
Right.
No pun intended with Duke.
Just looking forward to the next round. I'm just going to throw out some numbers real quick. We've got the point total for the Florida Auburn's up to 160, which
Oh,
is
Yeah.
pretty freaking high because I think the BYU Bama one ended at 170, which they obviously blew out of the water. But
Yeah.
The 160 is quite high. Houston Duke is 135, so more moderate. And then the spreads are going to be Florida by 2.5 and Duke by 4.5, which I think are pretty. I mean, obviously it's Vegas.
How much was Florida's spread?
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, I'm curious with Auburn. Auburn's still this question mark in my mind. They were dominant all season. They kind of tailed off. Now Janai Broom might have an elbow situation. He's gonna play, but
Right.
is he 100%? I don't know. I'm not well tuned in enough to know for sure. But
Yeah.
super curious. Part of me doesn't want Florida to win. Part of me does. I don't know. Like, to me, they feel like they. I don't know. Like, I just haven't really thought of them as on the tier of the other three teams, which is probably just because I haven't paid as much attention as I should to them. But
Yeah. I will
very,
say, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked them coming in, but in these, like, bigger games coming up, you need a big game guy. And Duke's got it in Cooper Flagg, and Florida's got it in Walter Clayton Jr. And I think that's huge if they can keep it up.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't know.
it just feels like Walter Clayton just steps up when that moment is there.
Yeah.
His like running backwards threes at the end of the game. He had like two of them where he's just full sprint and just turns around and shoots it. And I don't know. I can't even imagine doing that. So certainly gonna be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. And same with the championship. So. Been really fun for me to really tune into all of these games. I know there's been a lot of blowouts. A lot of people say it's not the most exciting tournament in the world, but I've still had a lot of fun with it. So, have you paid it? Probably not, especially considering your circumstances. But have you seen at all anything about the transfer portal?
No, I've seen coaches flying around, but I haven't seen much about players.
Yeah,
I know
a lot
the
of coaches.
Maryland. Sorry, go ahead. I don't know
Yeah. I mean, the
Take it
Maryland
away.
coach moved. Yeah, there's some coach shifting. The Texas A&M coach just went to Maryland and all that. I don't necessarily have a ton of takes, except for people get upset at coaches for moving, and I don't. It just doesn't speak to me. Like, the Texas A&M coach accepted this job at Maryland, and people are like, he moves every 5 years, to like sideways position. That's like, okay, I would change jobs every 2 years if like.
Yeah.
Who cares? The dude just do. Are you not accepting better jobs when they come? Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily bother me at all.
I
People
think
took
it's just
issue,
how they handle it.
but
Just
like
how
the
you
A&M guy,
come
he
to
just
it.
took a job. He didn't have anything
Yeah.
controversial. The Maryland
That-
coach, people are upset with. I'm in the minority, I think, and I don't care at all. I don't know what happened behind the table or behind closed doors, but essentially he said throughout the whole March Madness tournament, he's been saying, if Maryland doesn't, put in my contract X, Y, and Z, I'm leaving. People got upset about that, and to me, I'm like, well,
He made it clear, like it's not like
yeah.
he blindsided them.
He set the expectations. Maybe he had no intention of coming back. Even then, I don't necessarily care that much. Get your leverage wherever you can. I guess you could say it sucks for the kids, but the kids didn't like. I've not seen any of the athletes come out and say anything negative.
Yeah.
So I don't care. But big thing with the transfer portals, there's like 1,700 kids in there, which is insane. Just insane. What are your takes on? Do you feel like people hopping around schools is a bad thing for the sport? Good thing? What do you feel about that?
I don't love it from a fan perspective. Like, I get it. I respect it. I think I don't know how I feel about if they should be able to or not, but if I've got a team and my players aren't going to the draft, I'd like to see them stick around and build on what they've got. Personally, that's kind of how my uninformed opinion is. It's just kind of, as a fan, I like, especially because whenever pro teams and stuff like that, there's always a special place in your heart for drafted homegrown talent and stuff like that. They just kind of have a different hold on, at least for me.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to see more continuity along in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I agree with that, but some people get upset at the kids and say they're chasing money. First off,
They should. If it's available, they
absolutely
should.
chase the money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if it's my senior year and I can get $2.5 million in the transfer portal, I'm going.
Yeah.
Because then you get at the end of the next year, people, whenever somebody has a bad season, it's like, this is why you don't chase the money. You're set for life. You know, a lot of these kids aren't going to go NBA. You
And
might
if they
as
do,
well
the
just
chances
break
of
in the
making
money.
it to a contract where you make that even that money that you made in college is slim.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I'm fine with it. The other point though is like I don't care that the students do it because it's they're just going with the environment that they're given. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of players that probably would have stayed, but because money gets thrown at people to come to their team, then they get less minutes, even though they had been there for 3 years. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to a team that I get minutes on. You know, it's just the environment given. If somebody comes and gives me a demotion at work, okay, I'll just go look for another job. That's what I'm going to do. You know, it just makes sense. So people, I just don't like it when people have these negative takes on athletes moving around. I think the only criticism should be directed at the NCAA, who has no direction with what they're doing with NIL.
Yeah.
It feels like they're just like pouting, like, oh, we didn't want to do this, so now you have to deal with it. It's like, okay, well, we don't have to be in the NCAA. We can go create our own thing, you know?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of fans feel like they have an ownership stake in the athletes' lives that they have a fanship to, and it's a weird relationship where like it can be really, I wouldn't even say positive, like a high levels of emotion, like good emotion even, or bad emotion, not even like if it's a positive or negative thing, but it's just kind of like
Yeah.
it affects in such a way that it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Not getting my point across very well, but it's a conundrum.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think it sometimes it's hard to, where people get carried away and they don't connect the why. People just think, oh, chasing money because they don't care about the team. Yeah, I mean, they do have a life. If somebody
I
gave you $1 million,
guarantee anybody in that situation would do the exact same thing.
oh yeah. If
And
you
so
don't,
it's like-
you're not smart. You're a dumb person. So we're on the same page there, and I think probably a vast majority of people are, but it's just the silent majority, and it gets more clicks to,
Yeah.
have rage bait or not, I don't know, rage is even a little strong, but just say like, oh, this guy chased money and that's dumb.
Yeah.
Don't we all chase money? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the transfer portal. I'm interested to see where a bunch of these people fall. A couple notable was the North Carolina guard, blanking on his first name, but Cadeau transferred to Michigan. I think he's going to be very, very good in Michigan, which I don't typically root for Michigan or any Big Ten team, so I was a little bit bummed. But then the Michigan guard, Donaldson, also went to the transfer portal, so I'm curious to see where he goes because I feel like he's a guy who you can rely on in the late minutes of a close game. So, yeah, I'm excited, and I think that I'm gonna pay more attention to like the off season than I ever have before in college ball. So, pretty excited to kind of learn the lay of the land there. So,
For sure.
any other notable games or anything you watched this week? I know I watched some collegiate swimming national champions, like a real
Which
sicko.
we all knew were going on.
Yeah, yeah. I literally don't even know how to find out when meets are for for swimming, but I just go on ESPN Plus, and at one point I just Googled when the national championship is, and I put it on my work calendar. So. That's the only reason I knew it was going on. But your Texas Longhorns, national champions. So
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Good program
actually,
down there.
something I learned was last year last year Arizona State won. Their coach left and came to Texas. Next year he wins in Texas, so
That's kind of big.
that's got to feel very good. Got to be quite
Yeah.
the flex there.
Yeah.
And almost watched a world record be broken for the
Wow.
50 free. So very fascinating.
A couple things I was tracking, and I apologize. Okay, wrestling national champions happened, and just kind of a big upset. That's kind of big news. I don't follow wrestling that well, but I know Gable Stevenson. He got beat, massive upset from a kid from Oklahoma State, Wyatt Hendrickson. So that
Are
was
upsets
pretty-
common in wrestling? Do you know?
Not. I mean, Gable Steve. Not to this magnitude for sure. This guy is a gold medal Olympian and stuff like that. He is the face of especially collegiate wrestling, but even probably worldwide, at least U.S. wrestling. Gets beat. He gets beat by a guy who's an officer in the Air Force, or going to be. He's transferred from the Air Force Academy. He's going to the Air Force after college. So
Is this the
pretty
guy
big.
that Daniel Cormier was like, his girlfriend is 6 inches taller than him? Did you see that clip?
I have no idea.
There was a guy who won, I'm assuming it was some weight class in the national championship, and Daniel Cormier is on the call, and he's just yelling about, like, this guy is 5'5" and his girlfriend is 6'1". That's insane. And he was going for like 45 seconds. This guy literally just won the national championship, and all he
Yeah.
could talk about was the fact that his girlfriend towers over him, which is just vintage DC.
Yeah,
in my
DC can't talk. He's a freaking toad too.
Yeah.
So there's that. A couple other things in the hockey world. Dallas Stars, my favorite team, clinched a playoff berth on Saturday. They are currently also chasing the Jets for the first place in the Western Conference. 4 games behind as of right now, having played one less game. So they've got a favorable stretch compared to the Jets, so we'll see what happens there. I'd really love for them to pass the Jets, simply so we don't have to play the Avalanche in the first round.
When do the playoffs start? How many games?
They'll be April 16th, I believe.
That's coming up.
But even if we pass the Jets, there's a good chance we play the red hot Blues. Blues are on like a 10 or 11 game win streak right now, so they're hot.
You feeling like the Stars have a chance this year or no?
For sure, yeah. They're going to be. They've been contenders the past couple of years, and then they should be the next couple as well. They've got a good. I mean, their general manager is unreal, but they picked up Mikko Rantanen at the deadline, who's top, I'd say 7, maybe even 5 player in the league. On top of their already their core of really solid players. They didn't have a star before, I would say, but really really solid team. A lot of young talent. Their big issue right now is injuries. So if they can get one specific defenseman injury, if he comes back by the playoffs, they'll be in a really good spot. So
Love to hear.
Other hockey, I've been just kind of tuning into some Capitals games here and there, trying to watch Ovechkin try and beat the record. It's just interesting to watch.
5 away?
He scored tonight, so I think he's 4. So real close. He's got probably 7 games left to do it. It's funny to watch him because he plays his role in hockey. Like throughout the game, he's playing defense. He's playing hard as you can expect from a 39-year-old. But whenever there's a power play, he's on the entire time. Whenever there's an empty net situation, he's on the entire time. And there's a severe shift in pace in those situations, just so he can maintain that ice time. It's really entertaining to watch. But personally, I hope he gets it. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to retire at the end of the year or what?
Yeah, I think his plan is once he hits that record, he's going to go play in Russia. I think is his plan. So
Even if it has to play, is he going to retire mid-season of next year if he doesn't get it?
No, I don't know. I would assume if he ends up coming back, he would just come play the whole season. But
how likely is it that he hits that record? I don't know how frequently people score.
I mean, he's a goal scorer. That's who he is. I feel like he tapered off. He hasn't scored a whole lot until the night recently. If in 8 games, he definitely could get it for sure. Like it's very possible.
Do playoff
Um,
points count?
I don't think so. I don't think they
I hate
should,
that.
but maybe
I'm all
not.
pro. I'm pro
Really, no
having
points.
playoff games count.
Yeah.
Because
The interesting thing also is you've got this guy that, I mean, the Capitals want him to pass the record, obviously. And so they're, every time, again, there's an open net or anything like that, they're feeding him the puck, trying to get him, opportunities to score. But even with that, like, focus on him, the team is doing phenomenally. Like,
really,
they're the top, they're the number one, they're going to get the President's Trophy potentially. Like, they're the top team in the league.
what does that mean? Is that the
It's
top
just
of the regular season?
it's just winning the league, yeah, the best record in the regular season. So it's just really interesting how they can make that work. But yeah,
Dang, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to tune into some hockey. I maybe I'll get a couple games now that the tournament's slowed down here a bit. I'll probably tune into some games, at least the Stars games. Got hooked up on my TV. But I just
yeah.
want to. Oh, we got to talk actually about the torpedo bat. Do you have a take on the torpedo bat?
Oh, I think I don't have a take. It's fascinating. Like, I mean, the Yankees. It's insane what they did.
Yeah.
Even like who was it? Ellie De La Cruz on the Reds. His first time using the torpedo bat, he had 2 doubles and 2 home runs or something like that.
Oh, dang.
Like everyone that touches it is just gold. So I don't know if it's some sort of placebo and it's just in the head, or if it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's science. There are obviously science
Oh
behind it,
yeah.
but how much it really makes a difference, I don't know.
My first opinion was, yeah, go for it. I'm all for
Yeah,
innovation like that, and I'm all for like it's within the rules. They're not necessarily cheating. But then, kind of changed my mind, and this all comes with an asterisk because I know nothing about baseball. Um, was what's his face Barstool president Dave? He would always say his big thing is like a pitcher's whole strategy is to get people to hit that part of the bat. And
mm,
so you're doing away with whatever 100 years of baseball history just because you're allowing this because they didn't write the rules well. Um,
I could, yeah,
and so it's
I could
like
see that.
if that's a legit part of a pitcher's strategy is I want them if they get a hit to hit here, then it's kind of like, oh well, that's just kind of going against the spirit of the game. But on the other side, I have no idea. Can a pitcher do something to make the pitcher? Excuse me. Can a pitcher do something to make the batter hit on now the new skinny part of the bat?
I mean, yeah. First of all, my first thought is I don't think you should punish innovation within the rules. Like, if a coach develops a new play that's kind of game wrecking, as long as it's in the rules, I don't think that's a problem. You have to adjust. Like defenses have to adjust. I think it's a good thing. Keeps the games fresh. And so in baseball, I don't think if it fits within the rules, you shouldn't punish innovation. Pitchers have gotten so good that I think there needed to be a little punt, like a little. I
I
don't
think
know,
it's good for the
adrenaline
casual
boost
fan.
anyways. Yeah, and they, I mean, pitchers are so good. They have to be able to adjust. Like, yeah, you take some material off the end of the bat, and I feel like you just pitch away on late, late pitch counts, and I don't know. I don't know. There's got, again, no baseball, but you just have to adjust. You just have to, play the game, get better.
Yeah, if this becomes something that literally adjusts people's statistics, um, they should do a pre torpedo bat type statistics whenever they say
Baseball
home
does
run
not need
records.
another statistic category.
But like I know in the NBA they say like pre 3 point line
Yeah,
or
for
or
sure.
things like that, and like scoring records are going to be different without a 3 point line. And similarly in baseball, this could make it where old records have no chance. I again I have no clue, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're probably right. Baseball has enough things they need to
I
track.
wonder if the bat has like a learning curve. Like I don't know why everybody's just not all of a sudden just bam using them. Is there some sort of like?
I know that I heard uh, an interview from somebody who worked on it, and they said it had been 3 or 4 years in the making because behind the scenes they're they have them swinging behind the scenes, and I assume there's some changes and stuff to the bat over time, and then additionally you got to have player buy-in, which if you hand, especially with baseball, who they all have a giant stick up their butt. You hand a guy a new bat, and they're like, well, I don't want to history, and so I it doesn't surprise me that couple hits after practice, try this new bat out. It took a couple years of buy off. That being said, I don't know how they kept it a secret for so long if the players have been
I
doing
don't know
it
what
for
they
3 years.
did, because apparently the guy that originally created it was in the Yankees, and then
That
now
was
he's
like
on the
in Seattle or
Marlins.
something, right?
I think he's on the Marlins, and I think it's been around. It's just all of a sudden it just caught fire. So I don't completely understand like what happened from A to B, but
Yeah, that
I don't
was
know.
one thing I heard is the Yankees were kind of stupid for just fully rolling it out. Announcers talking about it. They should have just had one player do it, keep it on the low, and see how long they can get away. Rack up a couple wins before people start copying you. But yeah, so interesting stuff. Interested to see how that will develop. I think that'll, unless you have something else, we'll wrap it up there. We might meet on either Saturday night, Sunday morning, or Monday night, Tuesday morning, somewhere in there, depending on what we feel like we got to meet. So, good time talking about these games. I'm excited for the finish here of NCAA, and then I'm excited to kind of dive headfirst into a couple other sports that I don't typically get into as much. So it should be good though.
For sure.
With that,
Looking forward to some
everybody
good
have a good one.
times. See.